Okay, we have here homework chapter 8-2, question 1. We're going to go through this. The direct labor budget of UL Company Corporation for the upcoming fiscal year contains the following details concerning budgeted direct labor hours. And it gives me all of them for the first quarter, second quarter, third quarter, and fourth quarter. The company uses direct labor hours as its overhead allocation base. So remember back to, I want to say, I don't remember which chapter, predetermined overhead rates. Okay. The variable portion of its predetermined manufacturing overhead rate is $2.50 per direct labor hour. So I am going to note that down so I don't lose that number. Okay. What else did they tell me? And its total fixed manufacturing overhead is $52,000 per quarter. So total fixed 52. Okay. The only non-cash item included in fixed manufacturing overhead is depreciation, which is $13,000 per quarter. So that is also important because it is non-cash and we're going to be dealing with cash transactions here. I'm also going to put these numbers down here where I can reference them. So 8,400 first quarter, 8,400 second quarter, 8,700 third quarter, and 8,100 fourth quarter. Okay, so I have all of those numbers here. Pulled out the numbers there. All right, required 1, prepare the company's manufacturing overhead budget for the upcoming fiscal year. Okay, so the first thing you're going to want to make sure you do is fill in the labels here. The budgeted direct labor hours go first, and that is the numbers that they gave us. So I'm going to drag that across. First, second, third, and fourth. Okay, those are those numbers up there. And then I'm going to sum those across. Okay. Now, variable manufacturing overhead rate. Well, they gave that to me right here. Variable manufacturing overhead rate. If you'll recall, I got that number right here. I just referenced it right there. So that is going to go right here, and that is going to stay the same. So I'm going to anchor that cell and drag it across because it is $250 each quarter. It doesn't change. And for the year end, it is $250. Variable manufacturing overhead. So if I have the direct labor hours and I have the variable manufacturing overhead rate that is based on direct labor hours, remember? So now I just need to multiply the hours times the rate. And that gives me my variable manufacturing overhead per quarter. I'm going to drag that second quarter, third quarter, fourth quarter, and that will populate those. So each of those, it's just the budgeted direct labor hours times the variable manufacturing overhead rate in each of those. That's what that number is. Okay. Now, on this line, I can either add those across or multiply right here. So I think I'm going to try multiplying the total hours times the rate, and that gives me the 84,000. So I'm just going to show you that I will get the same answer if I add them across this way. Oops. 84,000. So same answer, 2 different ways to get it. I just like to be careful in this last column because on some of these charts that they have you make, it matters which direction you go. Okay. fixed manufacturing overhead. That is a number that they gave me. Total fixed manufacturing overhead. That is a fixed cost per quarter. And so it is going to be the same each quarter. So first quarter, second quarter, third quarter, fourth quarter. And then for the year, it is going to be the total of those because it is each quarter. Okay. Total manufacturing overhead will just be the addition of variable and fixed. Drag those across. Okay. Less depreciation. This is where that comes in. And we're subtracting it because it is a non-cash thing. And it is the same every quarter. So I'm going to anchor that cell. So first quarter, second quarter, third quarter, fourth quarter, same depreciation. And we take that out again because it is a non-cash and it was included in the fix. And then again, that is going to be the, whoops, equals sum of those four numbers. Enter. Okay. So now the cash disbursements from, oh, and right here, it's less depreciation. That's what goes in that line right there. Cash disbursements for manufacturing overhead, and that will just be total manufacturing overhead minus depreciation. And so I can drag that all the way across. And that completes the chart for required one. And if you'll notice, you have to fill in all of these boxes now. They're not totaling things for you anymore because they want to know if you know what to do with depreciation, if you're adding or subtracting, and it is subtracting, so it is less. Okay. Required to compute the company's predetermined overhead rate, including both variable and fixed manufacturing overhead for the upcoming fiscal year. Round your answers to 2 decimal places. Okay, so the total manufacturing overhead, we just figured that out, and we want to pull that number from the year column. So I'm going to equals. This is why I love using Excel, because I can just reference that cell and I know exactly what it is. I know exactly where I got it from. Budgeted direct labor hours. And again, this is for the year. Okay. And then if you recall, the way to figure out predetermined overhead rate for the year is going to be total manufacturing overhead cost divided by budgeted direct labor hours. So my answer is $8.69. And that is how you get that. Again, that is total manufacturing overhead, right? Right there from the year column. This is from required one. And then budgeted direct labor hours also from the year column, that top line. And you take the cost divided by the hours, and that gives you your predetermined overhead rate for the year. Okay, so there's question 1. Question 2. Pearl Products Limited of Shenzhen, China, manufactures and distributes toys through Southeast Asia. 3 cubic centimeters of solvent H300 are required to manufacture each unit of Supermix. Okay, so I am going to put that down here because that's important. 3 cubic centimeters of H300 per unit of Supermix. Okay, one of the company's products. So that's what Supermix is. It's one of the company's products. The H300 is what it takes to make Supermix. The company is planning its raw materials needs for the third quarter, the quarter in which peak sales of Supermix occur. To keep production and sales moving smoothly, the company has the following inventory requirements. Okay, these are going to be important. I know it. The finished goods inventory on hand at the end of each month must equal 2,000 units of Supermix plus 20% of next month's sales. So I just put that 2,000 right there, 20% of next month's sales right there. So I'm going to use that later, I'm sure. Okay, we're talking about finished goods. The finished goods inventory on June 30th, which is the end of the month, is budgeted to be 13,000 units. So June ending finished goods, 13,000. Okay, what else are they going to tell me? The raw materials inventory on hand at the end of each month must equal 1/2 of the following month's production needs for raw material. Now we're talking about raw materials, so that's going to be 0.5, half, right? 1/2. The raw materials inventory on June 30th, so that's the ending, is budgeted to be 84,000 cc of solvent H300. So 84. So we just filled in finished goods inventory and raw materials inventory. Okay, I am going to, let's see. The company maintains no work in process inventory, so you don't have to worry about work in process. And here's my monthly sales budget for Supermix for the third and fourth quarters of the year. Okay, so July, 55,000. And be really careful, I figured out typing in these numbers, because in this problem, if you get one number wrong, then a whole bunch of numbers later are wrong. So type in numbers carefully. August is 60,000. September is 70,000. October is 50,000. November is 40,000. And December is 30,000. Now they give us some extra numbers because we're going to need them to figure things out. Even though they only want us for this required one is to prepare a production budget for Supermix for the months July, August, September, and October. So if you'll notice, I filled in this, but then I also made a spot because we need some numbers from November to figure out October. We'll get there. The second line, make sure you're selecting add desired units of ending finished goods. There's a whole lot of options to choose from. So we're adding desired units of ending finished goods. And this one is less units of beginning finished goods. So again, there's a lot of choices there. Make sure you're choosing finished goods for this problem. Okay, so my budgeted unit sales, oh good, that's something they gave me. So I have July, oh whoops, July and August and September and October and November. Okay. Add desired units of ending finished goods. And if you'll recall, they told me up here, finished goods inventory at the end of each month, which is the ending inventory, must equal 2,000 units of Supermix plus 20% of the next month's sales. So July is going to equal 2,000 units plus parentheses next month's sales times 20%. Okay, so let's do that again. Equals 2,000 plus parentheses next month's sales times 20%. And again equals 2,000 plus parentheses next month's sales times 20%. And again equals 2,000 plus parentheses next month's sales times 20%. And then for November equals 2,000 plus parentheses December sales times 20%. Okay. Now let's see, what do we need to figure out? Total needs. Okay, so we just need to add those together. This one. Okay. Now, less units of beginning finished goods. What in the world would be the beginning finished goods for July? Well, if you'll recall from what we've learned before, the beginning balance of finished goods in July is going to be equal to the ending balance of June, which if you'll recall, I got that number right here in A. The finished goods inventory on June 30th, which is the end of the month, so that's the ending inventory, is 13,000. The ending inventory of June becomes the beginning inventory for July. Okay, so if that's true for July, then that is also true for August. It equals July's ending, and then September equals August ending, and then October equals September's ending. And just for fun, November equals October's ending. Even though I probably don't need to know that, but we had to know some of these numbers to get some of those numbers. Okay, so our required units, we do exactly what it says. Our total needs less the units of beginning. So equals our total needs minus the beginning. And I just drug that formula across because it's the total needs minus the beginning on each of those. Okay, that takes care. And again, in the book, you're only filling in until October, but we had to figure out some of these numbers so that we could figure out October's numbers. Okay. And don't ask me why it says required 3 in the book. My guess is they took away a requirement, which, yay, that's nice. Okay, and again, like I said, if you get some numbers wrong in here, then you're going to get the numbers wrong here because required production in units becomes in required 3. They want us, now we're dealing with direct materials or raw materials. Doing a budget showing the quantity of solvent H300 to be purchased for July, August, and September, and for the third quarter in total. So make sure you notice that. Again, this is a third quarter column total. So some of these lines are not going to add across. Okay. So very first line, required production in units is the one you pick there. And if you notice in required 1, that was the answer we figured out. Okay. The second one that you've got to fill in, add desired units of ending raw materials inventory. Make sure, because there's a lot to choose from, that you're choosing add desired units of ending raw materials. And then this other one, less beginning raw materials. Again, there's a lot to choose from. Make sure you're choosing raw materials for this problem. Okay, so this first line, July's answer is from required 1. August is 62,000. And September is 66,000. Now again, this is a third quarter total. So for this line, we can add them across. I'm gonna sum those across. Okay, units of raw materials, which is the H300, right? Needed per unit of finished goods. So if you'll recall, way up here in the top, this very first line, they tell us 3 cubic centimeters of solvent H300 are required to manufacture each unit of supermix. So 3 cubic centimeters is how much it takes of raw materials per unit. And so that's going to be 3. And so is that, and so is that, and so is that, and so is that. Oh, and I do need to bring down October's. Okay. Units of raw materials needed to meet production. Let's see, what did, oh, okay. That's easy because now we have the units we need to make and the number of cc's of H300 we need per unit. So we will simply multiply. So minus 56,000 times 3. And again, this is one of those where I can multiply or I can add across to get the total for the third quarter. I'm going to choose to multiply. Okay, and I need to know this for October as well. Okay, and that's as far as I need to go for October to get this figured out because now we're going to add desired units of ending raw materials inventory. Now let's see, you can remember what they told us. The raw materials inventory on hand at the end of each month must equal 1/2 of the following month's production needs for raw materials. Okay, so here's my production needs. And I'm going to make a cell here that is 0.5, which is 1/2, right? That's half, 0.5. And so I am going to take equals the following month's production needs times 1/2. And that's what I desire my ending raw materials inventory to be. So again, that was the following month's production needs times 0.5 or half. And this is why we had to figure out October. Don't accidentally choose this one. That would so make the wrong answer. It's October over here times 0.5. Okay, now I can add those across. Oops. Equals. Don't forget the equal sign. Equals sum. Nope. Let's try again. Okay. Equals sum. This one, and this one. Uh, oh, okay. I hope all of you were going, no, 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 that's not how you do it. So remember, I just made a huge mistake. You can't add this across. This is the third quarter line. I got confused because of the previous one we did. This is a third quarter column. And so the desired units of ending raw materials inventory for the end of the third quarter is going to be the same as the last month in the quarter. There we go. Ooh, that was close. Okay, so this tells me exactly what I'm doing. I've got units of raw materials plus desired ending. So that's exactly what I do here. I do equals. Whoa, that's not it. Equals sum. Oh my goodness. This one and this one. Okay. So again, this one I can either add these two or I can add those three. That's going to give me the third quarter total. This plus this. Okay. Less beginning raw materials inventory. Where do I find July's beginning? Remember, beginning raw materials in July is equal to the ending June raw materials. And so if you'll remember, they told me that at the end of B. The raw materials inventory of June, which is the end of the month, is budgeted to be 84,000 cc's. And so ending June becomes beginning July. So I'm going to equals ending June becomes beginning July. Okay, let's see if I can get this right. So beginning August is the same as ending July. Beginning September is the same as ending August. Now, third quarter beginning is going to be the same as the beginning of the first month in the quarter. Okay. And then we do exactly what this says. Total units of raw materials needed less beginning raw materials inventories. We're going to take this minus this. This. And it's really important to do that in this column as well. Okay, so that is how you figure out required 3 of question 2.